When Usain Bolt was racing, commentators would very often scrutinise his start, but most well-educated track fans knew that his fastest starts weren't far off the fastest athletes ever, since he got to the 30-metre mark in 3.78 seconds in championship finals in both 2008 and 2009. Only 6 athletes in history have made it to the 30-metre mark faster than this, with Su Bing-Chan's 30-metre split of 3.73 in Tokyo being the fastest ever. While Bolt's maximum starting potential was world-class, the most underrated element of his race, however, was his ability to maintain a low decrease in ratio of force, meaning the horizontal forces he produced throughout the race reduced less than that of his competitors. A widely held belief in the sprinting community is that the amount of vertical force an athlete can produce when running is the main factor that determines how fast they can propel themselves forward down the track. While sprinters are often capable of producing exceptionally large vertical forces, this amount of force on its own isn't going to be the main factor in sprinting speed. Instead, what we need to look at is the ratio of force, or how much of the force is actually being applied in the horizontal direction. Horizontal forces are at their greatest during the initial acceleration, with typically around 55% of the force from the athlete being directed horizontally. As an athlete gets further into the race, these horizontal forces continue to reduce, but it's because of the horizontal forces that the athlete is able to take their velocity from 0 all the way up to their top speed, while the vertical forces they produce act to prevent them from falling over. The vertical force requirement to keep your body up is one reason why taller or heavier sprinters could find starting harder. If they need to initially orient more forces vertically, they're detracting from the force they'll be able to orient horizontally. This can explain why shorter sprinters are often fast starters, although athletes with exceptional mechanics like Bolt and Asafa Powell are exceptions to this. While accelerating, a slower sprinter might even be able to produce more total force than a faster sprinter, but the reason they remain slower is because they're not able to orient those forces in the proper direction. When an athlete reaches their top speed, they will still be applying some force horizontally, but far less than at the beginning of the race, which is why the athlete stops getting faster. Newton's first law states that a body in motion will remain moving at a constant speed unless acted upon by an unbalanced force. At top speed, the net forces of the drag versus the runner's horizontal force are balanced, so all an athlete needs to do to maintain this speed is to continue applying vertical forces. Comparing Su Bing-Chan and Usain Bolt in their personal best races, we see that Su Bing-Chan's max ratio of force, meaning the highest percentage of his force that he directs horizontally during the race, is 58%, while Bolt's is just slightly lower at 56%. By using a formula with inputs such as split times and body mass, it's possible to calculate the sprint force velocity profile, which produces a theoretical maximum horizontal force value represented as newtons per kg of body weight. For this value, Su has a higher max force than Bolt, with 12 newtons per kg to Bolt's 10.2. Su also gets to the 30-metre mark 0.05 seconds faster than Bolt, but Bolt has reached a higher speed by 30 metres, with a velocity of 11.46 metres per second to Su's 11.2 metres per second. With Su having a higher value of max horizontal force, as well as a higher max percentage of forces directed horizontally, one might assume that Su would have the superior mechanical effectiveness, but as I mentioned earlier, Bolt's advantage comes in with his low decrease in ratio of force. Bolt's decrease in ratio of force is minus 7.1%, as opposed to Su's minus 8.9%. This means that in Bolt's case, for each new 1 metre per second of speed increase, the ratio of force decreases by 7.1% until the end of the acceleration where top speed is reached. For Su Bing-Chan, with each new 1 metre per second of speed increase, ratio of force decreases by 8.9%, meaning his horizontal force application is dropping at a greater rate than Bolt as his speed increases and the race progresses. Su's horizontal force per kg of body weight also starts higher than Bolt's does, as we mentioned earlier, but this too decreases at a faster rate than Bolt's does. When looking at a few other athletes who had their decrease in ratio of force calculated, we see Fred Curley is closest to Su with minus 8.6%. Then we have Marcel Jacobs with minus 8.3%, followed by Andre de Grasse with -8.1%, but none of them are close to the level of Bolt. When looking at female sprinters, the athlete with the lowest calculated DRF is Flojo with -7.5 from her 10.54 race in the 1988 Olympics. I made a brief reference to this in my video where I ranked the women with the best sprinting form in history, and outlined it as one of the reasons why Flojo's sprinting mechanics were superior to her competitors. The modern day female sprinters, however, have a DRF that is close to Flojo's level, with Elaine Thompson's 10.6 run having a calculated DRF of -8.1%, with Fraser Price having a DRF of -8.2% in her 10.74 run, both in the Tokyo Olympics final. It's unknown from this data at least if they achieved superior DRF values in their personal best races. So why is it that Bolt in particular has such a superior DRF? One reason is that when you're accelerating, it's more effective when your foot lands behind your centre of mass. As we see from this still shot of Bolt executing his 3-point start in the warm-up before the 2009 World Champs final, Bolt manages to achieve angles where his foot lands behind his centre of mass, giving the image that he is pushing his legs backward into the track to move his body forwards, a pattern that continues throughout acceleration. Tyson Gay, on the other hand, looks crouched over in this footage taken during his block start, and his foot looks like it's contacting the ground in line with or in front of his centre of mass, which makes for less efficient acceleration mechanics than Bolt. I'll let you watch for a moment to see if you can tell for yourself which technique looks like it will lead to horizontal forces reducing faster throughout acceleration. In future videos, we will explore these sprinting mechanics more, but for now I hope you enjoyed the video and thanks for watching.